I've been engaged 3 times.
Okay.
Never down the aisle. Never down the aisle.
Okay.
I think the fourth time gonna be the one. No.
What stopped us
Uh,
from getting there?
Yeah, what's the
uh,
secret sauce? Because
the
there's a lot of
first
people
time, I know. The
that
first time, I believe.
What's up, Bravehearts community? This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach, back with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, inspiring you to love fearlessly in the building. Well, not in the building, but like on location. With my co-host, Aquila Maddox. How are you doing, Q?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Sean?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long week already, and I think it's only Tuesday, but
The fact that you think it's Tuesday means it's been a long week because it's
yeah.
definitely Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, you got me. I was like, oh my God, I thought it was Wednesday. Yeah, I've been messing up. Oh my God. You are in for a treat today, everyone. Today's guest is an influencer, an actress, motivational speaker, mental health awareness advocate, and the host of Talk to Treese. I was on, get to check out her lives every so often. I've been trying to stay on, but life be life, and sometimes. Bravehearts community, let's show some love to the real Miss Treese. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing great. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me on. And I'm doing awesome.
For sure, for sure.
Glad to be here.
For sure. This confronting interferes to find love again.
The
This
topic.
is a serious topic because I get this a lot in my inboxes.
Mm.
I even been through it myself, right? Going through, getting
Mhm.
remarried. So I think this topic is vital. Q, what were your thoughts on this topic when
Really.
we first you seen it in your notes?
I did see it in my notes, but don't judge me because I'm over here. My days and my brain is running together. Let me pull up questions because that would be being more prepared. Amen. But
Amen. No worries.
huh?
I said amen and no worries.
Okay, appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Be noting.
Yes. So, well, for one, before did we get some information from her to share with the people?
Yes, we're gonna do that at the end of this.
Okay, okay, okay. Just check it. Just check it.
For sure, for sure.
Okay.
Yes, this topic. Well, first of all, Treese, I want to know
Mhm.
who inspired you to become the woman you are today.
Ooh, good question. Who inspired me? Who? Well, I have to say, I have a godmother. Her name is Miss Williams. It's a really funny backstory on her. She actually is the mother of someone I dated many, many, many years ago. But she had a lot to do with my raising in pivotal times of my life. And she was an inspiration of strength and being accountable and just making better choices. So, gotta say shout out to Miss Williams for
Shout
sure.
shout out to Miss Williams. I always
Yeah.
like to ask that question because a lot of times we see like and I'm throwing my air quotes, like the finished product, people see
Mhm.
us and, but sometimes it's that backstory that really helped you find out,
Oh, yes,
you know?
absolutely.
For sure, for sure. Can you share your personal
Mhm.
journey on confronting your inner fears and finding love
Mhm.
again? And what was the
Confronting
turn
my
for
fears.
you?
Well, being as though I'm still confronting my inner fears to finding love again. I would say the first thing for me is God,
Mm,
because without him, it's really hard to do anything, to be honest. So I always lean on God, and he gives me the strength to turn that corner again. Um, that's pretty much my base.
mhm,
So through my journey, you fall in love, things don't work out, you walk away heartbroken. We've all been there.
mhm,
Um, my first step is to always pray for strength,
mhm.
and he'll see you through from there on. You know, that's my thing on confronting my fears. I gotta go to God for that.
Amen. Amen. What are your thoughts
What
on?
are I want to ask what's one of her fears in dating or relationship or
Mm. Fears in dating. I think it would be, and I actually wrote it down. I think a lot of people probably can relate. I think it's one, being vulnerable, again, enough to trust someone to be vulnerable, with them fully. And then the other fear would be self. I think we beat ourselves up a lot. So I think that's the biggest fear, questioning your own decisions
Mm,
and not wanting to make the same, maybe wrong decisions again.
mm. Love that.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I
That's the
definitely,
inner fear.
how do you confront those?
Well, let me see. So first, of course, I said pray.
Mm,
I think it's important that we um, really think back on our experience, whether you have to write it out, if you have to journal, or even if you have to seek therapy. But I think it's important to navigate and go through some of the decisions and choices or the experiences that happen to you so you can really learn to discern in the future, better.
mm,
So I think the steps is to pray for knowledge and understanding, and then to seek more information, from your experiences, what you did, what the other person did, what you need to look for in the future. It's a lot of steps.
It
mm,
is a lot of steps. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say, vulnerability for one to co-sign with that is a real thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
do believe, from A, personal experience, and B,
Mm-hmm.
being a relationship coach, I absolutely believe that is one of the scariest parts of reconnecting. And
Mm-hmm.
the infamous scary to remarry, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
originator, can attest to that. Like, scary to remarry is not it's not a figment of our imagination. It's a reality. Like, there is a scariness when you've already been open, you've already
Mm-hmm.
been vulnerable, you've already put your foot out there. You ain't
Yep.
just tap your toe in, you was full throttle in the pool,
Full throttle.
soaking
Yes.
wet, and you like, and it didn't
Yeah.
go well.
Yeah.
Now I'm nervous to really open myself up,
Yeah.
to this again. So I would definitely say vulnerability. But what I've learned about the vulnerability, believe it or not, is I believe personally that vulnerability is a better protector than putting up a wall.
Mm-hmm.
mm,
Because when we learn, like when I'm vulnerable and I start leaning out there, that can't tell nobody that I don't be sweating bullets, because I would lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm the confidence and relationship coach, so I believe in doing the things that build the confidence. It's not just having it as a prerequisite.
Right.
It's sometimes doing that confronting. So I agree that I still get nervous and all the things, but I put my foot out in the water because that's the best way to tell if somebody is trustworthy, if they're a good steward over
Mm-hmm.
something, if they
Mm-hmm.
make a good partner for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some vulnerabilities for people is telling them what kind of work they do.
Yeah.
That's
mm,
a vulnerability for some people. So
mm,
you're
Absolutely.
like, I'm not telling nobody what I do because the
Right.
last person I told either blah, 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 So
Mm-hmm.
that vulnerability you may want to put out there, feel
Yeah.
yourself out. But when you put that out there and you see that they can't steward or handle it well, that does a better job of showing you that this person cannot be entrusted with you than putting up the wall and never telling anybody.
Mm-hmm. But I
Because
think
then
we're
once,
in a
go
world
ahead.
now where everyone is trying to bottle that or, keep that capped in or sit on that. And I actually said to myself, I think one of the biggest things you have to do is be open about your own insecurities. If you can be open about your own insecurities, I believe that is truly the biggest key to unlocking the first step of stepping out there again. You have to. And
Agreed.
we're in a world now where people don't want to. They fighting it.
yeah.
But yeah.
And I was
Mhm.
gonna say, at what point in dating do you start to be vulnerable? Like, is there a set time, or do you just kind of feel like, let me give them just a scrap to see what they're gonna do with it?
What you say,
Yeah,
Treese?
good question. Oh, I would say when you really have identified that this person is safe enough. Now, I guess it depends on the level of vulnerable or insecurity things that you're letting out there too. Because again, you could test the waters with something small, because then you're gonna get your answer.
Because that's what it is. I think
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. There's levels to vulnerability.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
I
levels.
understand that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's no different
Mhm.
than a person saying, I don't know if this bank is good.
Mm.
But we don't tell them to give us interest first.
Mhm.
We give them money first. We invest our money And then we decide to see if you go and start checking your numbers and you say, wait a minute, I put in this amount of money. I've not made any transactions. Why is it decreasing or what's going on? Right.
Mm-hmm.
We put in something first. And I believe that we have to understand that similarly, we have to put out something. Now, that don't mean put your $1 million in the bank at first and then see if they're not going to steward it well. You may get them $25. You may get them $100. You may allocate a portion of your direct deposit.
Yeah.
Because you can control that. You can say, you know what? I don't want my full deposit for my payroll going into this bank because I don't know if they legit or if they're good or if they're trustworthy, or whatever, right?
Right.
So vulnerabilities has levels. That's why I use that example. That one of the vulnerabilities that could exist is people telling people what they do.
Yeah.
You know, I've dated men who be like, I'm not, they don't even tell, but I don't lead with the what do you do question because I feel like there's so many things we can talk about.
Yeah.
So I've had gentlemen who intentionally withheld their job because what they feel that they're hearing, you know, what they're saying and communicating out loud is this is my financial status. And I don't want to be judged on that. Rather that's you considering that you trying to take me while you trying to stick me for my paper, like whatever it is. But they like, I'm not leading with that. So that's a vulnerability, right? A vulnerability is telling somebody that you've been divorced. Maybe you don't want to share that you've been divorced yet because they like, well, what did you do? What did you do? So there's levels. I do think, like you said,
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
So not, you don't want to wait till you are for sure that you're 100% safe, but you said at what point, once you and that person start talking and building a rapport, I guess you have to put something out there to see.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
If you like them and you guys have made some type of verbal commitment or clarity around where direction you're going together. Like if I say we're clear, like we want to build something together, then I'm about to start testing this vulnerability. Because I kid you not, I tell people I'm collecting data. So I'm trying to see if I'm trying to save you and me time. Because if this isn't a good fit, I'm not the only person that's valuable here. You know, I believe you're valuable too. You just may not be as valuable to me if in fact we don't mesh well, right? So that means that, and vice versa. I may not be as valuable to you once you learn, like, yeah, I don't really like her, you know, her forehead's big or something. Yeah, whatever it is, right? You just
that. Yeah. Finding out as soon as possible.
Finding out as soon as possible. That's why you got to kind of put a little bit out there. But that's what I think. That's my 2 cents.
I agree. I think sometimes too, I think because I know even for my experience, I remember one time my wife, when we were dating, she shared some vulnerability with me, and she basically was like, you failed the test.
You passed that whole exam though because you got married.
Yeah, right. But at the time, I was trying to be Superman, trying to, be the lead and all this other stuff when I should have just took time to listen.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. So sometimes you can, some people might struggle with that a little bit because I don't know. I don't know if it's just like a red flag, like I gave him a vulnerability, boop, he's out of here, or
could be. For some people who are sensitive, it could be, Sean. You don't get a second chance with everything and everybody. That's a principle I live by. So I try to steward every opportunity and relationship connection well the first time because you just never know. Like you don't. But to her point, I do understand you. To your wife's point, like I understand that there are some things. Like give you example for me, sharing that I went through a season of depression and that I was struggling with grief. That's a vulnerability because I didn't even know I was capable of being depressed. And then, of course, there's a stigma that some people attach to people being depressed and things like that. And I now understand that concern. And so if I shared with somebody like, I may not be depressed, but I do still struggle with the grief of the losses that I've experienced. And if they're like, oh, they're in a better place and they're dismissive, I'm like, you failed. You failed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean they failed like your wife did. That doesn't mean it was the red flag to get rid of you.
Right.
But maybe that was a red flag to notify me that maybe I need to explain this differently, share with them how it made me feel, and see then how it goes, right? So then that way, if they get a chance, like, oh shoot, I didn't realize, that. So then that way we learn either how to work with it, or that's just who you are. You just decide that you don't really care about it that much, and then I say, ooh, this ain't a safe place, because I am still going to be dealing with these losses, because every time something amazing happens, I still am reminded I miss my parents, and they're neither here to share that with. So I know that those little moments, it doesn't take me out and I'm like shut in dark rooms, but it does make me feel a moment in my soul, like, ugh, my mom's not, my dad's not. So if you can't steward that well,
you need to be with someone that's understanding to that,
yeah,
sympathetic to that, empathy,
For
gets it.
sure. Oh, go ahead, Treese. I'm sorry.
I was just piggybacking off of her. That's just important that, whomever her person is, that they understand that understanding and clarity. Yeah. And maybe help you nurture that. That's important.
Yep.
Yeah, because sometimes, and like you said, Q, sometimes you got to kind of circle back and maybe phrase things a different way. Because I think even with this topic alone, I think a lot of it is really communication and understanding people's communication styles and the way they talk. Like a lot of times, do they talk with like in absolutes, like always kind of thing, like opposed to us, like, because I tell my wife, let me repeat back to you what you just said.
That's good.
Just so that way we can have clarity. But that's something I picked up a couple of years later.
I know. He said, I didn't wake up like
every
this.
little thing. That way the other person can hear how you process that, and then maybe they can reiterate it a little differently if need be. Yeah. So much communication. Yeah.
For sure. Have there ever been a time where you seen a red flag and maybe you kept going?
Yep. Yep, going with skates on. with a parachute on my back. Down the hill.
I love your honesty, Patrice. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think we've all had, jetpacks in our back. On some red flags when we like them. You're like, well, is it red? I feel like it was pink. I feel like it was
kind of pink. Fade peach. Peach. Red as ever. No, yep, I have, and with time, so thankful. With time, you learn to be more aware of what you're seeing, and you learn not to shove things away or make excuses for things, but definitely, I'm still a work in progress, and right now I'm in the place where my eyes are more focused on what I see and not what I want to believe. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good. What I see and not what I believe. I love it.
Yeah. Yep. Because sometimes those feelings get attached and but you just like, I'm going, God, I got this.
Yes. Yep. It's one turn.
For real. What practical steps can someone take to begin confronting their fears around love and relationships? Because I know for you, you talked about God and journaling, but are there any other, things that people might do that
And I also wanted to circle back and say, I think it's very important, especially when you're in the healing or building phase or being more aware phase, your circle of people are really important too. If you have a supportive team, whether it's family, friends, mentor, someone, it's important the company that you keep while you process through this, great friends, with a sound mind, with fairness, always helps with that can pour a lot of love and support into you. I think that helps because a lot of times after you go through something bad, your security or your confidence might be low. Yeah. So I think, you have to take a step back and look at yourself and be aware that I need to focus on where my confidence is right now. How secure am I with me right now? Like I said, I feel like it's a lot of steps. The first steps is to pray. And then the second steps is to educate yourself on maybe your own behavior and what you may need to unlearn or actually learn things that maybe you never have. I think you
Hmm.
really got to go deep into yourself.
Yeah.
Yep, for
Patrice,
better.
I have a question. When
Mm-hmm.
you say pray, because back in the day when Sierra got married, everybody was like, what prayer does she pray to get,
Mm-hmm.
but in real life, like, is there something for those who pray?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that could guide or provide guidance? Because sometimes people are insecure about their prayer life.
True.
Sometimes they don't know what to ask God and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Are there any recommendations that you have
Yeah,
giving people
I
direction?
always say pray for clarity because I think sometimes we be in situations we don't even know what happened or understand what happened, but pray for clarity. Pray for, of course, God's mercy and grace on you through maybe mistakes you made. Some of us make horrible decisions with people. We get all wrapped up in the deepest sins ever. Remaking, what is that movie called? 50 Shades of Grey. But I would say pray for understanding and for God to reveal what may be broken in you that's stopping you from making better choices. You know, you have to face yourself. Um, yep. So pray for understanding, discernment, mercy, and pray for God to guide your steps into making better choices. Expose. Sometimes you need to be exposed of yourself, you
Yeah.
know, and God will show you you. You be like, ooh, that's what I was.
Or even show you that person.
Or that person, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we just don't want to believe sometimes.
Hmm.
Yes, you've been
Or we
led this
believing too
time.
good, like you said, instead of
Yeah.
seeing the reality. We're believing
Yeah.
the overly positive. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm guilty of that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the clarity was really good too. Like
Yeah.
what's really going on, allow us to
Yeah.
see what's actually going on versus
Mm-hmm.
what we have in mind, and not allowing those pain points. So when
Yeah.
you talk about seeing ourselves, not
Mm-hmm.
allowing those pain points to be the guide for why we stay, while we're
Right.
choosing, and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. That's really, really good. I co-sign
Mm-hmm.
that. If y'all didn't write that down, I'd recommend run
Mm-hmm.
this back, amen, and get y'all a good pen and paper
Mm-hmm.
and write it down, because that clarity, that's sound information right there. And then she
Yeah.
said understanding, and I'm a Bible girl. It's saying all that get an understanding. And I have to tell
Mm-hmm.
you, I don't care what antiquated part of the Bible people want to talk about, there is some
Mm-hmm.
wisdom in there, y'all. That all
Mm-hmm.
you're getting, get an understanding. So, like she said, an understanding of yourself, because we are sometimes the problem. We are
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the problem, not because I find that we're always doing something wrong to someone, but we
Mm-hmm.
could be doing something wrong to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
choosing wrong. I remember sharing my testimony a million times over that, part of I've been divorced, and I'm divorced twice. My second marriage lasted 2.5 seconds. Amen. But the
Mm-hmm.
reason why is because in my reality, I don't care how good or bad of a person he was. Now, I personally feel like I zoomed past the flags.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell nobody, oh, I didn't see the flags until after we got married. That's false. I
Mm-hmm.
saw the flags, I put me a jetpack on, and I just decided to zoom past it. But what made me want to zoom past it was a few different things. Being a church girl who was trying to right her wrong,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and being a person who tries too hard to make things right.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, I was believing. So I was like, well, I believe we're going to be able to make it work. So my point is I think very much so being able to see that truth allowed me to slow down more. It allowed me to stop zooming past things, take the jetpack out my back, um,
Yeah.
and not try to hurry up and, you know what I'm saying? Be like, okay, I just want to make something work and stick,
Yeah.
and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
that's really good sound information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Sure.
Patrice, how
Mm-hmm.
long, how long was how long did your longest relationship last?
Longest relationship lasted 5 years.
Mm.
5 years. I've been engaged 3 times.
Okay.
Never down the aisle. Never down the aisle.
Okay.
I think the fourth time gonna be the one. No.
What stopped us
Uh,
from getting there?
Yeah, what's the
uh,
secret sauce? Because
the
there's a lot of
first
people
time, I know, the
that
first time, I believe we were too young. You know, we were 18 and 19. I think we were from 18 to 21 or 22. And I just believe we were too young for what life had at that point. We weren't developed enough or strong enough in one another to sustain, and mistakes happened. And I'm always thankful for that because I look back and I'm like, we weren't ready. Now, could we have made it? Maybe, we were both hard workers and all of that, but I just don't think we had lived enough life. Um, Second time, the other person really suffered a huge depression, and more with some things that were going on with him and his father.
Mhm.
And he actually said it honestly has nothing to do with you. He just couldn't get over some things that him and his father had going on, and it made him a little dangerous and angry.
Mm.
And so and actually he actually ended it. And he did circle back, but once I was out, I felt like, no, we didn't align,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then my third time, we had been together for 4 years and had a child together. And I feel that I was pressing marriage because that's what every girl wants. Um, but we really weren't aligned. I don't think he was ready at all. I think he has several things he needs to do with himself as a man.
Mm.
And I'm sure there was much that I needed to learn about even becoming a wife.
Mm.
So every time I think I really truly wasn't ready. Um, and the last two, especially the last one, I don't even think we were compatible really,
Mm.
great
Mm.
friends. So I definitely have learned in life now what to be looking for. You have to learn yourself,
Yeah.
you know, have
Yeah.
to learn yourself and what aligns with you. So,
That's interesting because I mean no shade to the sisters, but some sisters can't get one engagement ring.
I
And you got
know I
And sis is out here. Sis has got a whole hand.
but I would say I highly pushed. I would say I definitely was a pusher,
Okay.
okay,
and
okay.
I don't want to do that no more.
I got you. I can
Gotcha.
relate to that. That was part of my second experience too. Like I
Mhm,
said, I was trying to right the wrong. I was like, well, we've
mhm,
already had premarital sex. I done over here. I'm
mhm.
out here living all the sins. I done had a baby with you. I'm out here doing
Yeah,
all the sunshine.
yeah,
So I felt really, convicted. I felt
yeah.
bad. I felt now y'all gonna say, well, you should have thought about that. Well, I wasn't thinking about that in the heat of the moment.
Mhm,
Okay. I
mhm,
wasn't. So I was
mhm,
enjoying myself in the heat of the moment. Amen. Okay.
mhm.
And then the reality set in and I'm
Yeah,
pregnant and I got all
mhm,
the things I got to answer for in my real life. And I wasn't, I was like, dang, we're together. I didn't obviously think he
mhm,
was, so bad that we couldn't have made a life. So boom.
mhm,
But I was definitely pushing for it. I do believe in my, after that experience, I
mhm.
never ever wanted to force a man to be ready. And I
Yeah,
and I learned and I
yeah,
came up with this slogan:
yeah.
never force a man's hands and feet to do what his heart and his mind is not ready for.
Amen.
So he can move his feet in the direction that you're asking
Mhm,
him to go. But if his heart and his mind is not ready,
mhm.
you're gonna start to see it different in his hands and feet.
Absolutely.
Because
Mm.
out of the heart flows out of the heart,
Flows the
flows
abundance.
the issues of life. So that means that
Yeah.
whatever's really going on in here is gonna it's gonna start to reflect in his life, his
Mhm,
decisions. And so the reality was, even though he did what I asked him to do, right? Like, hey, we
mhm.
should get married, we love each other, blah, 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 blah. He'll tell you to this day, we're no longer married, but he'll tell you to this day, like, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I knew I didn't want to lose you, but I
Mhm,
wasn't ready. And his not ready showed up in
mhm,
reality. It kept showing up, you know what I mean? In
mhm.
different ways. You can't force somebody to be ready for something they're not really ready. So The first time I got married, we were young. Nobody really had that. I grew up so in church, it was crazy, so religious to the point where they didn't talk us out of it at young age.
Yeah.
Okay. So we went,
That's the
but
thing you do. Yeah.
yeah, we went. But the second time I was older, but at the end of the day, those kinds of things. So I do think, Sean, I hear her say a lot. She's on it like a lot. She keeps saying, you got to know yourself. You got to
Yeah.
reflect. She keep on coming back to me, back to yourself, basically, right? Look at self. And that is such a very important factor when it comes to, and really relationship for sure, but anything in life, because we are the starting point, right, for everything that happens in this life. And that doesn't mean people don't do stuff to you. That doesn't mean you're not really a victim of circumstance. It doesn't mean that people don't wrong you, ladies and gentlemen out there. But what I hear her saying is you want to be in touch with you. That's the best intercession you can do for your life choices, is really being able to be honest enough to know, you know what I mean? So that you don't, now I won't perpetuate that same issue of trying to force a man to be ready. I can accept, I've been with some men who are like, I don't want to lose you, but I'm not ready. I'll be like, I'm gonna leave you right here. Amen.
Yeah. Now I know. Yeah.
I've been here before. I'm gonna leave you right here.
Yes. And I always say, now I tell my friends, my mom said, I feel like it took me most of my years to learn that. Some people are early bloomers. I have a good friend who seemed like she really understood things at an early age.
Yeah.
Maybe because she had two parents in the household and a brother, very strong, tight unit brother. But I feel like I get it now. Like all of a sudden the light bulb went off at 39 for me.
Amen.
So
We
I
go
was
with
like,
it.
I
We
don't
go
know
with
who
it.
I was. Yeah.
Hey, no, I hear you. So, because I want to ask you real quick, Treese, about you talked about the push, right? You're saying about so can you explain when you're talking about like the push? Are you saying like the push for marriage? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
I did. Well, no, with my first one, we were so young. I didn't see that coming. Actually, surprised me.
okay,
The second time, I made it very clear that we're not going to keep living like this,
okay,
And so he did propose. I would say some people say at a good mark. It wasn't after 5 years. It was maybe after like a year and a half, almost 2 years, But I know I still kind of pushed that. The last one, because we were together so long and then now we have a child, I tried my best not to have another child out of wedlock. That's why my kids are 11 years apart. I really tried. Which that played on me too. That played on me really bad. Yeah, I was
I
so
get that.
disappointed with myself because I didn't want to be a statistic.
I'm with you.
Yep. And you got to realize, but you still made the choices.
yeah,
But I did really push like all the time. And he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for so many things a young couple starts to endure and just getting up on your feet. And he just wasn't ready. And that's okay,
yeah,
But I don't ever want to do that again. So now when I'm dating,
mhm,
and I've recently dated a pretty serious situation. We went our separate ways, but that was just always in me. Like, I'm not going to push anything. I'm not
yeah,
going to make you, force you. And men say it now. Men say words a lot. They say force. They say they feel force and they feel under pressure. So,
The P word.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because what I'm hearing is. Basically, I mean, the man should propose. There shouldn't be any pressure on the woman's end. Because I feel like if a man's ready to marry you, he's going to do it without the pressure, right?
That's right.
So sometimes there are guys who will just kind of wait out the process. They just, unfortunately, right? They will continue to just kind of be like, okay, we together, we just kicking it, that's it. And I think sometimes you do need to ask, like, hey, where are we going with this? Like,
Yeah, you
I,
do.
I think those that is important, but
I
forcing.
think a lot of women, I know I was guilty of this, especially when you're younger, you
Mhm,
just have this idea. And I talked about this on my podcast. You have this idea of what things should be. And you probably were taught that marriage is the right thing. And it is, but your focus is not so much on the bond. And if you really, really align, it's just on the marriage or the title, and you're running from things. Like with me, it was like, I do not want to be a baby mama,
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
too good for that. I can't believe that. I've already made a mistake. So it's like you're trying to cover that. You're trying to bring this circle together so you can be proud of. But if it's not right, it's not right.
Right.
I'm with you.
I get
Yeah.
you because we all make mistakes, and
Yeah.
yeah, because we kind of trail. There's so many questions I want to ask. We kind of getting off topic, but I
That's
think
right.
where we're supposed to go is where we're supposed to go because just some of the things that you're sharing with us is like, oh, okay, now I have questions that I believe that you can help other people, but there are some that I still want to ask. I do want to take a quick breather, real quick. Uh, we do have my wife and I created the Love Fearlessly Intimacy deck cards, and there are 30 cards that ask questions, whether if you're newlyweds, dating, a new relationship,
Mhm.
serious questions that I think a lot of times we miss when it comes to dating. My wife and I got, and I know a lot of people have, the date night cards. I get it, but the thing about it is with us is it's my wife and I's husband and wife
That's
putting
right.
our experiences together, statistics, experiences, everything together, and we compiled this love intimacy card deck. So I want to ask you a question, Treese, from the
Okay.
card deck. You
I
ready?
gotta get this deck too. Okay, let's go.
Okay. The website you can get it at scaredtoremarry.com. So here's the
Okay.
question. How did you manage hurt and disappointment growing up?
How did I manage hurt and disappointment growing up? Ooh, that is a good question. I um I think that I did two things. I internalized a lot of it.
Mm,
Like I think I'm probably was someone that like suffered in pain. And then I relied heavily on my friends
mm,
to provide happiness. Or I think my friends were like an escape and they didn't even know it,
mm,
you know.
mm,
Um, I think that's what I did. I think I kept a lot of things in and was hurting on the inside. And I tried to find escapes. When you say young, how young?
it doesn't make a difference. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
early childhood, like whenever you just experience like some pain in your life that if you look back, you don't have to say what it is, but
Yeah.
just even just handling it can be as early as
Yeah.
7 or 8.
Childhood, I think that I had no place to place it.
Mm,
And I just remember always being like in my room and just trying to process things myself. Sometimes, and I told people this, I feel like I was somewhat a sad child, you
mm,
know, um, because I grew up, a lot of my family were older. I didn't grow up with like a lot of cousins my age or a lot of siblings.
mm.
So I wasn't really talking to them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I came up in a time where kids are seen and not heard anyway. So I think I just internalized it. And
Mm,
then as I got older, going into like my teens and my young 20s, I learned how to escape things.
mm,
And that was either through music, that was through partying, probably through alcohol.
mm.
And just like I would create these worlds, like, gotta go on vacation, gotta do all of this stuff, gotta stay busy. That's what I did
Yeah,
for years, honestly.
that's
Yeah.
real. I
Yeah.
hear you. That's
Hmm.
real. That's real. No, that was and thanks for sharing that because
Hmm.
the point of the whole deck is, to get to know people on a different level,
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I
uh
talk about that. I have a new book I'm working on. It's an audio book. And I talk about all of that in there.
Awesome.
awesome. Awesome. So when we got you got a release date on that or
I
no?
don't have a release date yet. And
Okay.
I'm mad at myself because it was supposed to be before 2025. So I will say it will be January 2025. I don't have
Okay.
a specific date yet. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. So we're
Yeah.
gonna hold you
Look
to
out
that.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called emotional coma.
Wow. Wow.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's
All
good.
right. Well, we're
Mhm.
gonna ask for your contact information below so that
Okay.
everybody
Yep.
wants the show is over. Uh, how does someone know when they're truly ready to love again after dealing with their fears and insecurities? How do they know when they're ready to love again?
Um, I would say when you're ready to love again when you feel internally free, when you no longer feel bonded or bound by your emotions and your fears, um, when you are ready to be an open book to someone again, you
Mm,
know, when you started having those feelings, and you pretty much should know that you're ready. If you're not ready to be open again with someone new, then I would say you're not ready. You know, it's probably where I am. I'm not ready, but
mm,
I do know that when I am, or when people are, you should feel totally free.
yeah,
You know.
I agree. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts, Q?
I would agree with that. I think that's a really great answer, is the freedom. I think it's with that freedom, I would add, you're willing to take the risk again. I
Mm,
heard someone say somewhere that if you're in a place where you're so sensitive that you can't accept that you're not somebody's choice, you're not ready.
wow, that was good.
And I was like, that is good, because
Mm,
sometimes we live in such a state of offense, especially after you're hurt and you're trying to
mhm,
protect yourself.
mhm,
If you think about the word offense, the word fence is in it. So it's referring to also this gate, right? I'm living in this
mhm,
place where I've blocked in, being offended or being upset or whatever inside of this fence, right? So when you're living liberally, as you're talking about this internal freedom,
mhm.
then you're okay with the reality, instead of taking this offense that you're not going to be somebody's choice,
Yeah.
and I remember like being in the place where I was opposite of that. So to your point, I felt like I was ready because I was tired of being alone, tired
Mhm.
of being single.
Yeah.
And marriage for me is not about a ring and a dress. I've been married, so I know I thrive in partnership. I know
Mm,
that I really appreciate being able to, have a partner in
mhm.
life. And, this ain't about who's paying my bills. This ain't about, I'm a partner. I bring to the table, all I could build the table if we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But however,
Mhm,
what I knew though was, to that lady's point when she said that,
mhm,
it was a good self check, because I was like, I can't deal with, if you're not coming over here being serious. And this is what I'm saying to myself, like,
mhm,
I can't take somebody, if you come over here, it was almost saying that if you chose to initiate conversation with me, you had to already know that this is where you want. Well, that's not
mhm.
facts.
Yeah.
That's not the truth.
Yeah.
I have to allow that person the process of getting to know me so that they can
Mhm.
properly choose, just like I'm going to be doing with them.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that I was feeling so strongly about that, meaning the not being open and liberal and free inside, was because I
Mhm.
was still in a state of protection.
Yeah.
I was
I
trying
wrote
to
that
avoid.
down. You're no longer in protection mode.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
I'm not in. I was in protection mode, so therefore, I'm already like, don't come over here wasting my time. They don't know that they wasting your time until you
Yeah.
guys figure out if this is a good fit.
Mhm.
So so to your point, that openness and that liberation that you're talking about internally is a state of accepting that you're not somebody else's choice, somebody else is not your choice. You're
Yeah.
okay with not taking all of those things personally. You're
Yeah.
okay with taking risk, whether that
Yeah.
risk is
Mhm.
losing or
Mhm.
being lost. Right.
Yeah.
So I may have to lose out on this person because you recognize it. Like I feel like you were saying in your case, you met some really good guys that y'all had some things in common. But I tell people that, compatibility isn't just the good time.
Mhm.
It's the hard work. It's the challenging
Oh,
moments. It's those
yeah.
low moments. So can we be compatible when, like,
Mm,
he was telling me some of the babies, like, like some of his kiddos, when they learned that they had, any type of medical challenges or anything like that. I don't know the
mhm.
terminology for it, Sean, but because I can't remember right now, but you were telling me that like one of your sons require additional care.
Mm-hmm.
Though
Right.
compatibility is y'all sticking through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that.
So
We get through
that's
all
you got to
kinds of
learn that
things.
stuff. So
Yeah.
I had to take myself off the dating market for a minute
Yeah.
and get myself together, because you out here trying to protect yourself, and you're
Mhm.
telling everybody in your mind what they can't do before they even come, and it's unrealistic
Yeah,
and
Right.
unfair.
yeah, that's a good one.
And
Unrealistic and unfair.
Treese, I wanted to
Yeah.
ask about I wanted to
Hmm.
ask you about blended families because we kind of talked about that off air.
Hmm.
Was
Hmm.
there a topic in particular that you wanted to discuss concerning blended families? Because I mean I have one. I this is my second marriage. I did it before
Hmm.
and I have a blended family now. So was there anything that you wanted to tackle in particular?
No, I just wanted to say, as people probably know, blending families can be hard work or a lot of work, dedication, and commitment to everyone involved.
Hmm.
But I think us moms, I don't know if I should say it's fair that we struggle with it the most because guys maybe do too. But I think women have to remember if you haven't had like a male figure involved consistently, and once you let one in, I think moms struggle a little bit with some allowing the man
Hmm.
to either lead or show you a different way. I think moms go into defense mode sometimes, and sometimes we just need to listen and trust the process. You
Yeah.
know, because sometimes your kid is going to be wrong.
Yeah, because I mean the whole blended family, and I think we talk about it, but I don't think we really get really like beneath the surface.
Hmm.
Because like you said, even that leadership, like having a man come into your life, and I can't speak on behalf of women. I have two women with me now, but
Hmm.
from a man's perspective, if he is going to have a blended family, then like I know for me, the stakes are high because I'm
Hmm.
like, when I enter this child's life, I'm going to be a piece of his life, regardless
Hmm.
of how this turn out.
Hmm.
So I take it very
That's
serious.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I take it very serious that come hell or high water, he's always gonna be my child, regardless. If we
Yeah.
if we make it, and you know what I'm saying, we don't make it, he's always gonna be mine.
Yeah.
That's just the way I feel. Even with my ex-wife,
Hmm.
uh, my son, me and him, we're still cool to this day. Like I don't
Absolutely.
even talk to my ex-wife, but me and him still
Right. But
talk.
the relationship, yeah,
Yeah.
which is
So
great because it's needed. Lord knows.
yeah, you just never know. So I do think the
Hmm.
blended family thing is very important. Because I know moms can struggle with that too, as far as with the discipline,
Hmm.
right? Like,
Hmm.
are you
Yeah.
really looking out for my child like that?
Yeah.
Um, but I do think, but what are your thoughts on that, Q? Because I don't want to go too deep into it, but what are
So
your
fast.
thoughts on the whole blended family piece, and how does that look? Well, your kids are older now, so you don't really have to
Mhm.
worry about the whole blended.
Well, I mean, but I've been dating, unfortunately, longer than I put on my timeline, man. So yes, I have definitely had, but I would say what you said is definitely valuable. But I noticed that, to your point, like I must say, like I observe women who especially are not used to having a man. Like, so I did grow up with both parents. They split when I was, a teenager or something, but my dad was still the only man that my mother, the only man that my mother would still ever have around. So with that being said, I was still used to my dad gonna be called over. There that version of an expectation, or should I say that version of exposure, allowed for my expectation to be what it is when it comes to how a man shows up, right? Well, the challenge was having my daughter, let's say I have a son and a daughter, and having my son or my daughter, when they're around other people, let's say my daughter was around someone, because, that was who I've been probably single with the longest. So with him, I mean, with her, having somebody brought into the life, similar to your point, my daughter even had to get an understanding that when I finally got to the place where I was letting somebody in, to open up to the
Mhm.
fact that there's a different
Mhm.
or another authoritative figure that's saying something that my mother has entrusted in this
Mhm.
experience.
Mhm.
That was unfamiliar for her too. And like you said, having to learn how to sit down. But I am old school. I was definitely groomed for relationship and marriage. So I
Mhm.
didn't have the quorums with that. But it is something. I think that it's But for what I tell people is when I look to co-parent or to commingle with somebody or bring in them into my life, from my experience, they're not looking for a dad. They have dads. They have, thank you God, they're around. They're at least a voice, But I'm definitely looking for a partner, and I do want them to understand that I am still surrendering, you know what I'm saying, my life in a way that they can still have a voice in my children's lives. So I think it's something, it's again, it goes back to the vulnerability, right? Because I don't just allow you to come here, right? We don't just allow people to meet our kids. We don't just allow people to talk or exchange a conversation with our kids. So it's something that it definitely takes work. And I feel like I actually now know a co-parenting coach. I think sometimes people do need exposure and they need education on how do you bring somebody into your life, considering that you want to be with them long term, because it's easy to find solace in like, I'm gonna just hold on to my kid, and if you act crazy or say something with my child that I don't like, then I can cut you off because this kid will always be my kid, but you might always be single too. So we might have to talk.
Yeah. That's good. A co-parenting coach. That's good.
Yeah.
And Treese, so how old are your kids?
Yeah.
My daughters are 15, but she's about to be 16 in a few days. And my youngest daughter is almost 5.
Okay.
So
God
16.
bless you.
Okay.
Yeah. What a gap. 2 girls, and they crazy as ever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get the age gap. I have a 21-year-old
Mhm.
daughter all the way down to a 4-year-old. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
that's, yeah, the way my life is set up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I got a 23 and a 16. So
22 and 16. Okay. Yeah, they're
yeah,
pretty close.
yeah.
Yeah.
Blended families. That's a whole
that's two different
show.
worlds.
Yeah,
23 and
that's
16, two different worlds.
It is 23 and 16. Yeah.
yeah.
It might catch up later. They
I
can
don't
just always find it.
I don't
Yeah.
even know.
That's fine.
At this point, this
7 years.
generation, this 16-year-old is in. I don't know.
You
I
know.
know. I know. It's different.
Oh my God.
My 5-year-old's confused. She thinks that she's 16. So, and my 16-year-old is willing to come down to being 5. So it's
See,
unbelievable.
see.
Like,
Well, if you ever
They
want an extra 16-year-old to remind her that she's six,
yeah,
I can send. No, I'm just kidding.
right. Be like, hey, I come down to your level. I'm like, y'all are crazy. Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
How can someone break the cycle of self-sabotage or avoid
Mm,
it?
That was a good one. Self-sabotage. It
Yeah.
happens so easily, just naturally for a lot of us. Break the cycle. You have to become aware. You have to become aware and seek to understand and want to, like you say, unlearn um, your ways. Uh, you have to be able to call yourself out. You have to be able to check yourself. Like, wait a minute, am I doing that again? Or am I doing too much right now? Let me go think, let me come, all the way down to myself for a minute and then come back to this situation. You gotta have a great relationship with yourself,
Yeah.
to break those things.
Have you
I
ever
think
been?
self-sabotaging feels comfortable to a lot of us.
Mhm.
It's comfort.
Mhm. I was going to ask you, have you ever
Mhm.
self-sabotaged a relationship? Like looking
Um,
back?
I've probably not trusted and was always quick to be like, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's probably
Yeah.
my self-sabotage.
Uh,
That's okay. Never mind.
no,
Go ahead.
I hear you. Uh, okay, we're at the top of the hour, so I
Mhm.
want to do Treese Uncut. This is
Okay.
no wrong answers. This is you
Mhm.
uncut. Um,
Okay.
even if we create a viral moment, it's okay.
Oh, like, okay.
All right. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
Okay. What's the biggest mistake you see men make when it comes to dating?
Um, Not intentional
Mm,
enough,
wow.
just no intentions. No, oh my goodness, no strong direction, you know? Everything is loose, everything is said in a way where it could be. Nothing is just direct. That's
Wow.
the biggest mistake, and women are, they're all complaining about it. Like, what do you want? You basically don't want nothing. What are we talking about?
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
I hear you.
You got to get clear, guys.
I hear you. That's real.
Mhm.
Fill in the blank. My last relationship taught me.
Mm. My last relationship taught me that it was a situationship. Yeah,
I hear you.
yeah.
From seeing your parents' relationship, what did it teach you about relationships?
Um, you really have to connect yourself with what aligns with you.
Mhm.
Yeah, what aligns with you. They broke up when I was 2,
Oh, okay.
but they were living 2 different worlds a
Mhm.
little bit,
Mhm.
as I did with many people.
Got
Yeah,
you. Mhm.
2 different worlds. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be over here corporate business world. Yeah, over there drug dealer. Like, no. 2 different worlds. What do you think is gonna happen? He gonna turn into Prince Charming? Yeah. So, yeah, that's what my parents taught me. You gotta align.
Mhm.
Um, but they also taught me that some of the older school ways at least held something, and they had more of a respect for family value, even though they were on 2 different ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
Mhm. Who makes a better spouse? Someone never married or someone divorced?
Probably someone divorced.
Hmm. That's a
Yeah.
controversial question, but
They know everything not to do. Or they know what could happen. There's some things that they should be a little ahead of.
for sure.
Mhm.
What's harder for you to say? A, I apologize. B, I need help. C, I love you. D, I was wrong.
Um, let's say when I'm wrong, I can apologize. I guess I need help.
I need
I need
help.
help. It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. Well, so why I need help?
I don't even know why I thought about that. I struggled with that for years. um, pride. I think I was always a prideful person, which they talk about that in the Bible too.
Yeah,
But yeah.
for sure. Is it easier to love yourself or someone else?
Mm, the old me, it's easier to love other people. But now I think the new me is easier to love myself.
Mm, I hear you.
And I learned loving people is hard.
Yeah, I hear you. I
Love
hear
is
you.
hard.
I
Uh,
agree.
I hear you. Well, this has been a phenomenal episode. Q, what are
Yeah.
your final thoughts on this whole episode? I know we were all over the place, but what do you think of this episode? What do you think you can maybe help the audience with um, in this closing segments?
I first I want to thank you, Patrice, as well for being a guest, and you shared some phenomenal nuggets. It was just great dialogue altogether. I think just wrapping it up, she really, like I stated a bit earlier, summed it up with a lot of a lot of it boils down to how we see ourselves and to introspect, to connect more. And I think that life is busy, y'all. We have goals, and I think sometimes we think so outwardly about where we want to be and how we want life to be that we dismiss ourselves a little bit more than we intend or need to. So
Mhm.
take that time to like really think through where you are, where you want to be. And it kind of, and that's, I believe, honestly, like how we can avoid and should I say mitigate that issue of being unintentional.
Mhm.
I did 100%, like in some recent dating experiences. I've encountered that same thing, in my exact same experiences were just that, like, dang, well, what do you want? Not because I'm unclear that you want me, but I'm unclear where you're taking me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know you want me. So being clear about where you are and
Yeah.
aligning that to the goal is how we are intentional, because
Hmm.
then we're saying, here are the steps that I need to do. If I know that I want Patrice, I know that I want her how? In my life forever, in my life for temporary. So I
Hmm.
think that when we really check in, we can say, I really just want a situationship. I really just
Mhm.
want to just date for,
Yeah.
casually. Check in with yourself so that when you
Yeah.
hear the Patrices of the world say, I want marriage, then you already know, like, I'm going to disconnect and
Mhm.
get off here, because that's not, when I'm honest with me and I think about the direction and I think about where I'm going, I ain't trying to go there. Not right now or not ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So check in with yourself. I think that's a good
Definitely.
summation.
Wow. Love it. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. Well, Treese, let everyone know how they can get in touch with you. I'll have everything linked up below, but give us all your
Yes.
contact
You
information.
guys can get in touch with me. My main point of contact right now is Instagram at the real Miss Treese. You can inbox me, comment, whatever you like to do. I'm there. Facebook, you can go there. It's Treese. Just type my name in twice, and yeah, and we can talk, chat about anything.
Awesome, awesome. And then how often do you do your lives? Are they scheduled certain days of the week, or you just kind of
Yes,
when you
my lives are twice a month on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time,
okay,
with many different topics. And you can inbox me and let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about or us talk about if you want. I'm always open.
for sure,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah.
Q, let
And
everyone
thank
know.
you, Q. It was so nice to meet you.
It was a pleasure
You're
meeting you. I'm just over
awesome.
here trying to find you on Instagram. Don't worry about it.
Yes, me too.
I'm over
Yeah,
here.
Yes.
Hey y'all, this is Aquila Maddox, the inspirationalist, over on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Aquila Maddox or the inspirationalist. Until next time.
Sure, that's not like that.
all right. You heard it
Thank you so
here.
much,
No,
Sean, for having me. This has been long overdue and great.
Hey.
for sure. We've been talking about this forever. Make sure you stay on after we get off. Don't get off
Okay.
again. Just hold on. Yeah,
Okay.
Bravehearts community, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share this video with someone. You never know who needs to hear a message like this when it is out on YouTube. Share it in your group chat because I know it's like 5 of y'all in y'all group chat and it's like y'all best friends. So, y'all can discuss this episode. Y'all can break it down because you never know who need this. If you are listening to this via podcast, leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. By doing so, puts you in a drawing for a free Amazon gift card. Who doesn't like free stuff? So make sure you leave a rating and review there, an honest rating and review. We'd love to hear your feedback.